My name is John Stewart, president of the Florida Bar, and I'm here with Justice Alan Lawson, who's graciously donated some of his time to allow us to ask him a few questions for our first ever virtual annual convention at the Florida Bar. So, Justice Lawson, welcome and thank you for your time today.
Thanks, John. It's my pleasure.
So I wanted to start with you were kind enough to come to my December board meeting in your home territory of Orlando, and you gave really an outstanding presentation to the Board of Governors around health and wellness. I mean, that's a very general topic, but I know you have a lot of really specific knowledge, and maybe you can just sort of share with us, um, you know, some of your thoughts about health and wellness for lawyers, particularly since I think that, like everybody, lawyers are having a much more challenging time while we're isolated and going through this pandemic.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's it's really. I'll start where I started it with the seminar, which is think about what is in the Declaration of Independence. What starts it? We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. Among those are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And it always struck me as odd, the whole pursuit of happiness line, in context of people who were putting their life, liberty, property, everything on the line to sign a document that essentially was treason. It had to be a very stressful thing to do, a very stressful time. I mean, there was nothing but uncertainty about them and their future when they took that step. And they said they did it for the pursuit of happiness. And we think of happiness as sort of this almost frivolous pursuit of escape today. And so I knew that they must be talking about something different. And as I read deeper, I found that idea came from John Locke, the British philosopher who was responsible for the social contract theory and so many of the ideas that influenced Rousseau and others that ended up in our documents at founding. And he said that the pursuit of happiness was the greatest intellectual pursuit that one could have. But he used words about enduring, lasting happiness that made it clear that he was talking about something different than what we think of today. And then he said that the pursuit of happiness is the only truth, and I'm paraphrasing, foundation for liberty. And which makes sense if that's true for how it made it into the Declaration of Independence. And so then I asked myself, well, is that true? And what is he talking about? And I think he's talking about that deep sense of well-being, that I am okay and things will be okay, even in difficult times. And how do you attain that throughout life and all of your endeavors and all that it throws at you? And one way that an author that I read put it was that to make it make sense in the context of why it is so essential to our liberty, is that what democracy needs, because democracy is really, really hard work, people coming together to try to live together in peace and harmony in a way that provides fairness and justice for all, to make that work requires fulfilled people who are looking to meet the needs of others. And that's what Locke was talking about, a sense of personal fulfillment and peace and equanimity no matter what's going on. And what we seem to have today, what our modern society has wrought, is a bunch of, me included, like needy people looking outside of ourselves to, okay, I need to go on this vacation, I got to have a break, looking to be fulfilled. And so we look to our government, we look to officials, we look to everything else. So really, the pursuit of well-being, I'll use those terms, I think needs to be at the center of what we're all about, not just for our own personal happiness and lack of stress, but so that we can build together the societies, the communities that we really, really want to build. And it's hard to to come up with like lists of things to do. I mean, I do that in a seminar that I give it, but in something like this, I mean, I think the first step is deciding, and this is the question, as I talked about when I was talking with the Board of Governors, that I came up with when I came to the Supreme Court, because it's a really, really, as you can imagine, demanding job, with a lot of aspects to it, and it you know, I very quickly was sort of overwhelmed and wasn't really even, I mean, I enjoyed the service, but it seemed like, I mean, I was sort of going into the routine of, this really is a rat race. I am running myself ragged. So my enjoyment of life in general is going down, and my performance is going down. I'm stressed out by the high demand. So I asked, what do I need to learn, and who do I need to become so that I can handle these demands, do it well with excellence, and still really enjoy life? And that really is sort of the pursuit of happiness. And so I think for everybody that's listening to this and has an interest, or I've piqued their interest, or maybe they already had an interest in, how do I be, not be so stressful? How do I enjoy life, even though these are difficult times? That you got to start reading and exploring on your own, and make that a daily thing. Every day, what do I need to learn? Where's the most stress right now for you? I mean, is it in relationships? Okay, what do I need to learn about me and others around me so that I can have better relationships that aren't filled with the stress or animosity or that kind of thing? So a long answer, but I think it all is, rather than telling you what has worked for me, tell you that I just was doing what the founder sort of said, and decided to, I'm gonna as part of my daily routine every single day, work on me, work on becoming a better person, work on pursuing my own well-being. And so that's what I would recommend.
Well, the presentation, I can say, is really impressive. I hope everybody gets a chance to see it. I mean, it surprised me, not for the following reasons I'm about to say, not because I don't find you to be all of these characteristics, but it just surprised me how intellectual you made it. I mean, how biological you made it. I mean, how interesting you made it. I mean, you clearly have dived into this head first and very deeply. So, I'm curious. I mean, did your passion for that and your interest in that really start with the Supreme Court, as you just mentioned, and trying to find that path, or, did this happen sooner and that just sort of amplified it?
It happened sooner, off and on, depending on stress levels. I think when I got to the Supreme Court, I dug in with a passion and intensity and urgency that I never had before, and just never stopped digging. I mean, to this day, I had time this morning where I was just learning things, and I've had practices that I've put in place, throughout the day in my own life to just make life better and perform better. So that was the difference. It really was something new because of the intensity level and the.
Well, we're going to continue. I know under soon-to-be President Dory Foster Morales' year, we're going to continue to push mental health and wellness. I mean, there's no end to that. We have to continue to push that, and we're also continuing to push, technological advancements, technological change that, for those that were resisting it, we've been forced into. Obviously, we wish we would have had this accelerated learning curve under better circumstances than a pandemic. But the court has also been forced into this, and I know that you all have had video conference oral arguments recently for the first time. So, what was your experience with that? I mean, how would you balance that versus, the live experiences that you've been having for your years on the bench?
So the Zoom oral arguments to me seemed a little more impersonal, and it just, I missed the courtroom. Maybe it's just because that's what I was used to, and I found that I had to adapt and do things. I mean, it took a lot more energy just to stay focused. And part of that is because we're so used to being distracted when we're looking at a screen. I mean, messages pop up, this pop up. So as we went along, it got better and better for me personally. I started making it full screen and putting it on speaker view so that made it easier. I was not looking at the other members of the court and everything. I was only looking at the attorney who was speaking, and then made sure to, on the device I was using, close mail, close messages, close everything so things weren't popping up, because that was a distraction, and you want to be able to give your full attention to the argument. And once I did those things, I found that it was more comparable, and certainly a whole lot better than not having oral argument, canceling them altogether. I still look forward to the day when we get back in the courtroom and can have that more personal interaction in that setting.
It was interesting. We've at least so far heard from 2 other justices on the same subject, and I think that there seems to be a general thought that they do prefer, the live argument. Although I was interested in how similar their response was, which is different than yours, which is they liked the panel view. They said they picked up on a lot of nonverbal cues from other participants who maybe weren't speaking in the moment, and they could also tell, they said, which I thought was really interesting, but also a little bit funny, they could also tell when a justice was ready to ask a question because they took themselves off mute, so they saw questions coming. So I think it's interesting. The dynamic is really different. So
yeah, and I will say I did go back and forth. So if I wanted to ask a question, I would go to the panel view so that I could see just what you're talking about. But for me, it was just watching everybody else. Although I picked up on things, I felt like I lost something in terms of my comprehension and real focus on what the lawyer was trying to say. And so it was.
Yeah, it's a different dynamic, but I applaud the Chief Justice and the entire court. I mean, you all have made sure that the courts stayed operational safely, which is important for our citizens and important for our lawyers. I mean, lawyers need to continue to be able to service their clients, and you've done it in a safe way. So I know our members are extremely appreciative of all that the court has done to allow that to happen. So I wanted to make sure to express my thanks for that. I have a question that may be off script, but I know you'll be okay with it.
I'll be fine with that. But let me go off script and say that you sort of applauded the Chief Justice, and that is certainly warranted because he's done an extraordinary job in these extraordinary times. But I'd be remiss in not pointing out what an extraordinary job our chief judges around the state and the 20 circuits have done, along with their leadership and just all of the judges. I mean, there are a few here and there that haven't jumped in, but it is so rare. I mean, for the vast majority of our judges have really done everything to educate themselves on the technology needed to keep things going. And the chief judges, the hours that they have put in with their leaders in order to make all this happen has really been an extraordinary effort.
And yes, I mean, you're right. I mean, the judges, like the lawyers, but the judges, everyone has personal and professional issues, and they're still getting to work and doing what they have to do. So it's been impressive. So my off-script question, but I know that you can handle this seamlessly, is now we have Justice Couriel, who I know has already joined the court, and Justice Francis, who will soon be joining the court. So if you could give them one piece of advice as a brand new justice, and you may have already shared it with Justice Couriel, what would it be?
If you had said give them 10 pieces of advice, it would have been really easy. One piece of advice, I think, is just to, and this is what I said to John before the first argument, is do everything you can to take in and enjoy this experience. The job that you have is an extraordinary privilege. I know you're gonna work hard, and the same is true with soon-to-be Justice Francis. But and I know you're going to give it your all. I know you're going to excel. I know you, but in all that, it's sort of a wellness thing. Is you got to take care of yourself if you're going to do well over the long term, and start by, getting that mindset of when you're going into an oral argument. That can be a stressful thing, not only your first time, but your second time, your third time. You're going to be broadcast over the internet. You can have a tendency to worry about, am I going to say something that's not going to make sense, and like it, like anybody. But try to put that self-criticism aside. Do the best that you can, but enjoy doing it. So.
Well, yeah, I think, well, you mentioned, in your own experience, it can be quite a grind. And so, they have to find their own path. But so, for our members who not everyone, has the privilege of meeting Justice Alan Lawson, what is something that people might be interested or surprised to learn about you that they may not otherwise guess if they were to think about coming to see Florida Supreme Court Justice?
Well, the things that they might be most surprised about are things that I'm not allowed to talk about, because we can't talk about issues of the day that are political and our ideas about them and our thoughts about it. We can't engage in that kind of discourse, and so the people assume a lot about you in those areas, and it's just almost laughable when I read some of the stuff, because I thought, if you only knew me, you would, So there's a lot of that, but we'll keep it to the stuff that I can talk about, which is Julie, my wife, and I, and maybe this is known, I don't know, we love the outdoors. We go paddleboarding regularly, kayaking regularly, hiking, and we even do some camping, and we take regular walks in the morning. We spend as much time as we can in our backyard area when possible. I work from back there. I have a covered area in my backyard, so we absolutely love the outdoors and love activity in the outdoors. My most scary recent, this happens if you spend a lot of time in Florida outdoors, especially on our waterways, but Julie was out of town, and I decided to go kayaking without her, and decided to take a more adventurous kayaking trip down the Ekalanahatchee River, which is one of our more pristine waterways, and I had read a lot about it, and they said, this is, if you really want to get pristine conditions, do this. Well, pristine conditions, I found really quickly meant you're carrying your kayak over logs and going under logs. There were times when do I go under or over, and had to sort of get down completely in it, and I was about 45 minutes in, and it was remote. I mean, I didn't see a single other person on there, but I heard this real loud disturbance and saw, trees, smaller bushes and trees, waving, and something was like, it sounded like an elephant coming through the brush. And I was like, what in the world is that? So it was a high bank, and it was up on the bank. And so I sort of, got my kayak, came back and got a little closer and watched and got louder and louder, and things were rustling more and more. And out pops this massive alligator that looked at me and seemed, I don't know if an alligator can look startled, but decided that its best course of action was to dive in, which put it diving right at me. So I have never paddled so fast in my life, to get back paddled to get away from that alligator. So you do some interesting things when you.
Well, I know I know that you do a lot of charitable work, I know, in and out of the country, and I know that you spend some time, I think, in South and Central America. So we know you're an outdoors guy. So I think we appreciate all that you do, not just in sitting on the bench, but wanted to convey my appreciation for what you've done for me my year as president, what I know you'll do for my successor, Doria Foster Morales. I mean, really what you do for the bar, our relationship with the court is fantastic. You all do so much, and just wanted to make sure that I express my appreciation for that, for our members and for our bar leadership. so that you never lose sight of the fact that we appreciate the time and commitment that you all give to the bar, which is enormous, that a lot of people don't realize. And not just as the senior person on this interview, but also as a justice, you get the last word. So any last comments you want to make for our members, they're all yours.
Well, I do. I just want to express my appreciation personally, and I know I speak for the whole court, for you, John, your sacrifice that you've made in all of your service to the bar and the people of the state of Florida, to Dory, who's going to follow you as president, just like you said, people don't realize all that we do and all the time that it takes. I mean, only your closest friends understand the sacrifice that you've made for your fellow lawyers, but for your fellow citizens, to do what you've done in your service. It's been extraordinary. And from the bottom of my heart, I thank you. And that goes, I think as lawyers, we forget that the system of justice that our citizens, our fellow citizens depend on is only as good as we are. And that's why the wellness thing is so important, because we can only be really good to the extent that we really take care of ourselves. But it's almost an enlightened self-interest kind of thing. Your service can be so much better when it's rewarding, and it's rewarding when you're, anyway, you know all that. But the point is that I want to thank the members of the Florida Bar for their service, because that's what it is to our system of justice. We lose track of that so easily and think it's just a job, it's a way to make money, it's what we do, it's demanding, I know that, but it is an extraordinary service. And so thanks to all of you, and especially John, I want to thank you.
Well, I appreciate the kind words, and thank you for your time, and thank you for participating and making our first ever virtual annual convention what I know will be an unmitigated success. So good to see you. Look forward to being able to see you in person again soon. And until then, please stay healthy and safe.
Thanks. You too.